Welcome to the Inspired Impact Podcast, where dedicated female professionals share how they inspire impact every day. Authentic stories, passionate commitment, lives transformed. I'm your host, Judy Carlson. Welcome to today's episode of the Inspired Impact Podcast. I am super excited for my guest today. She has a passion for patient-centered care that stems way back to her childhood, but I want her to share her story. Dr. Lauren Shapiro, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here chatting with you today.
Yeah, this is great. I just want our listeners to hear your journey because you're still young, but you've had a lot of journey and you've got a lot more to come. So why don't you start where you feel comfortable?
Sure. So for the listeners who don't know me, I am a practicing radiation oncologist. And what that is using x-rays to treat cancer as well as benign conditions. So using oncologist is a bit of a misnomer because we do a little bit of everything. But my journey, I guess, sort of dates back to being younger and really having a fascination with science and medicine. And I was drawn to the field of oncology for a variety of reasons, and some which I can articulate and some which I really can't. When I was an undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin, I was looking for some research projects to participate in, and I found myself working in a laboratory for a woman who was studying skin, and particularly using skin for burn victims. So lab-grown skin that could then be sort of grown and used for the purposes of grafting. And while I was working in that laboratory, I began to work on a project involving skin cancer and these cells that kind of grew and would form tumors. And I would say that was kind of a spark where I became a little bit interested. But also during my college years, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it's interesting now looking back on being, 20 something and having my mom go through that, because I think I didn't really fully understand it, in part because of her trying to shield the family a little bit, but also because, when you're a 20-something, your life is so just egocentric and you're focusing on everything that's going on around you. And I wasn't really thinking at that time. But when I look back in hindsight, I think that definitely also played a significant role in how I ended up going down the oncology route. So I finished my training at my undergraduate studies at the University of Wisconsin. And at that point decided I wanted to go on to medical school. In between the two, however, I took a nice stint of backpacking through South America, which was fantastic and also allowed me to sort of identify additional aspects that are important to me. And one of those being the importance of travel and learning from people in other cultures. Upon coming back, I started medical school at Stanford University. And while there, I was very fortunate to have some more opportunities to engage in research, including some time at the National Institutes of Health. I worked with an amazing mentor there studying osteosarcoma, which is a type of bone tumor that is very common in pediatric patients. It does occur in adults as well. And again, I think that influenced me and informed me. I thought at the time I could see myself being a researcher, but when I got back to the clinic and I really started as a medical student working with people, that is where I really found my passion. So it wasn't on writing grants. It wasn't on being in a laboratory working in cell culture, even though I enjoyed that. I really longed for the interpersonal connection. So A lot of people don't know necessarily what radiation oncology is and what we do. And I didn't. As a medical student, I really didn't know. And I'm very grateful to a medical student who was a little bit older than me who said, you should try radiation oncology. You get to do these really, important physical examinations and you get to learn all these things. And there's these technical aspects and you get to build these longitudinal relationships with patients. So lo and behold, my first clinical rotation of all of medical school was radiation oncology, and that kind of sealed the deal.
Wow.
I loved that it allowed for working with people, supporting them through this cancer journey, but also integrating some really neat technical stuff. So we go through training in physics and radiation biology, and we get to work with really cool technologies and machines to help treat patients. And so that's kind of where I found my calling to become a radiation oncologist.
Wow. So you graduated from Stanford, and then what was next after that in order to become the doctor?
Yeah, great question. Radiation oncology requires an additional 5 years of training beyond medical school. The first year that we go through is kind of a general medicine practice. So I did mine at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center in San Jose, California. And you kind of do a little bit of everything. You're on the surgery wards, you're on, the medicine wards, you do ICU care. And then after that 1 year, that's when I fully transitioned into radiation oncology for 4 years. And I had a opportunity to move to New York City, and I lived in
What?
Manhattan for 4 years
Oh
while
my.
doing my training. Yeah, at Memorial Sloan-Kettering Cancer Center.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
it was a lot of hard work, but I also had an opportunity to train with really some thought leaders and people who are at the forefront of radiation oncology. So it was truly a privilege. Um, and after that, it was actually during my last year of residency that my dad was unfortunately diagnosed with brain cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And I was very grateful that my residency program was supportive and they allowed me to go spend a little bit of time back in Wisconsin where my dad was going through treatment. And ultimately, when I graduated from residency, I was able to join the faculty at the University of Wisconsin, be closer to home and help support, and be there with my family while he was going through treatment. And so I was already in the field when he was going through radiation treatment, which he did actually twice. It allowed me, um, I think that being a family member and watching a parent or a sibling or a loved one go through it also influenced me as a provider so that now when I am there and I'm in the room and I'm with my patients, I can really empathize with the family. And, I have not been in the patient's shoes, but I have been in sitting there in that seat, in that family member seat. And it's definitely a hard position to be in. And it was especially challenging because I walked the fine line of wanting to support my father as a daughter.
Mhm.
Um, and yet he also turned to me for some of the medical expertise and was looking to me for guidance. And I think that happens quite frequently to physicians who
Mm.
are there supporting family
Oh,
members going through
wow.
cancer journeys.
Wow. How did you manage that dual role at the time?
It was challenging. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I did it well, but I tried to wear both hats.
Yeah.
And then there were times when I said, you know what, I just want to be your daughter right now.
Yeah.
So, let's let your medical team answer those other questions. Um,
So I mean, everybody's going to want to know what has happened with your parents through their
yeah.
journeys.
Yes. So my father he went through treatment for his glioblastoma. He passed away in 2012.
Mm.
Uh, and my mom, did great through her breast cancer treatment. When I was, gosh, I always, the timeline is always with your children, right? So I'm
It
like,
is.
when I was pregnant with my son, who's now 6 years old, my mother was diagnosed with a condition called myelodysplastic syndrome, which is a type of cancer involving the bone marrow.
Oh, wow.
And so that was her second foray into cancer treatment, and certainly the much more challenging of the two.
Ah,
She
yes.
did end up going through a bone marrow transplant, and while she remained disease free, unfortunately, about a year and a half after her transplant, just due to a variety of complications, she passed away, which happened to be in the midst of the COVID pandemic. So it
Oh,
was a
wow.
very rough period,
Really
to say the
rough.
least.
Yeah. Were you still on the faculty at the University of Wisconsin through all of this?
Oh, good question. I should have mentioned no. So I transitioned. I moved out to California in 2013, and
Hmm.
I had been practicing with Kaiser Permanente in Northern California for about, I think, 7 years or so at the time she was diagnosed.
Okay.
And fortunately, because of my connections and my training, and she was able to come out to Stanford and have her bone marrow transplant there.
Oh, wow.
And it was wonderful to be able to have
Yeah.
her geographically nearby
Hmm.
and to help support her through that.
Do you have other siblings?
I do. I have an older sister who also was really critical in helping both of my parents through their illnesses, because she lives in Wisconsin. So she was the
Okay.
local daughter and I was the distant daughter.
Both very necessary.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're in California and you're practicing with Kaiser and but you're in Colorado now. So how did that come
Yes.
about?
Yeah. Um, I we were living in Northern California, and my husband has a consulting practice.
Okay.
And at the time, we were kind of ready for a change. We didn't have family at all in California. We did have family and friends in Colorado, as well
Oh,
as some remaining in Wisconsin and
okay.
Minnesota. And ultimately, we were looking for that lifestyle change
Mm,
of, we were both working so hard, and we were looking for a place where our kids could kind of roam. We loved the outdoors and hiking, and we found a beautiful piece of land with a creek, and it just was a magical transition for us to be able to move to Colorado and be in the foothills. And career wise, my trajectory shifted because I actually came to Colorado without a job. I
okay.
left my beloved job in California. And when we moved out here, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I ended up joining the faculty at the University of Colorado
Okay.
and working primarily with breast cancer patients there,
Wow.
which was extremely rewarding. The team was exceptional and I really enjoyed it. But something for me was missing.
Mm,
And I ultimately found that I, again, was really focusing on my love of the interpersonal connection. And what I really cherished was sitting in that room with the patient and kind of counseling them and guiding them through their experience, learning about them. Because I think when we're rushed in medicine, as
mm,
so many of us are nowadays, we don't get a chance to really know the person,
mm.
and who the person is going through the treatment really informs me as a provider to how I can best help them.
Yeah.
So I elected to pursue some additional training in palliative care, which is Specialized medical care for people with serious illnesses. So not just people with cancer, it can be patients with COPD or patients who have had a stroke or people who have heart disease. And it really focuses on getting to know the patient as a person
Mm.
so that as a provider, we can help align their goals with what's realistic, with what's possible. And so I'm in the midst of going through that training right now and hoping to incorporate that whether within radiation oncology or continuing to practice palliative care in a different sort of setting.
So when you say palliative, is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Palliative. So So how does that transition? I mean, what are you doing with the patient and where are you and why are they with you and what's the journey with you?
That's such a good question. And it's interesting because so few people actually know about the practice of palliative medicine, and there's definitely a misconception and people kind of equate it with hospice care, and
Oh,
it's very different from hospice care. One of the things is focusing on symptom management such as pain or shortness of breath or constipation, anything. Our focus is to improve quality of life,
mm,
whether that's through pain management, medical management, and also integrating. It's really an interdisciplinary specialty. There are
mm.
social workers embedded within palliative care, nurses, physicians, chaplains, really a whole team of people. And I really value that team approach to patient care in getting to know the person as a whole so that we can help them guide them with their spiritual journey, their medical journey, and really confronting this serious illness.
So would a doctor refer them to see you or are you just part of the program for that particular patient?
They can be referred to the palliative care team, and usually a palliative care visit will involve those multiple members of the
Ah.
team. For me personally, I'm not embedded in a palliative care department or system yet. I hope that ultimately I will be, but I'm still in the training process.
So you just went through all the schooling and training and all the things you went through for radiation oncology, and you've been practicing for like what, 10 or 12 years, and
Yes.
now you're back in school again. So,
Perpetual student, but I
yeah,
really enjoy it.
that's good. How does your
Yeah.
family handle all of that? You're studying right along with your kids, I
I
guess.
know it is funny when I say, "Oh, I've got to do my homework. Why don't we do our homework together?"
What are the ages of your children now?
They are 6 and 8 years old.
Okay. Those are
So
fun
not old
ages.
enough yet for serious homework.
Not yet. You're doing the serious homework, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if you're not in it yet, what program are you in to learn this palliative care? And then what are the options beyond that?
Yeah. The program that I'm doing right now is through the University of Colorado. It's called an interdisciplinary palliative care certificate.
Okay.
And it is open to people with an allied health background. It is so there are social workers that are able to get the certification, nurses, physicians, doulas, you name it, anyone
Wow.
on any part of the spectrum. My cohort has about, I don't know, 50 students or so.
Wow.
And we are all learning from each other as well. There's a
Yeah.
lot of self-reflection that is involved in the training, and learning about ethics and medicine, and it's just a very multifaceted thing. So where do I go from here? I don't know. It's actually a very exciting time in radiation oncology because the palliative care in radiation oncology is sort of a burgeoning field
Wow.
in the sense that we've historically used radiation for palliative purposes, meaning someone comes in and they're having pain from a tumor. We can use radiation to treat that. Someone comes in and they're having bleeding from a tumor. We can use radiation to treat that. We can treat a variety of things. But what's really exciting, Judy, is that now we're having emerging studies suggesting that in patients who have cancer that has spread, sometimes referred to as metastatic cancer, when they have limited areas of cancer spread, we're able to kind of ablate these areas using radiation therapy in very high doses. And this is translating into improved outcomes and improved survival for people.
Wow.
So, patients where historically they had limited options or that the paradigm, our approach was very different. Now we're able to really help them with using radiation as just a local treatment. Also, there was some recent data that came out looking at patients who had cancer spread in their bones. And what they found is that even in patients who have no symptoms, where it's not bothering them, it's asymptomatic, that using radiation to try and prevent fractures or complications, again, translated into improved outcomes. So my hope would be that we continue to see a marriage of these two fields
Yeah.
of palliative care and radiation oncology as they come together, and that we find increasing utilization of radiation to really not only improve quality of life, but to extend survival time in patients who have advanced disease.
So we're going to say we knew you when because you're going to be the national champion
I don't
who
know if I would say that, but
marries the two because you're still young and you can go and do all of that.
yes, there's definitely, I think, a growing excitement nationally and internationally to marry these two concepts.
Yeah, I
So it is
could.
exciting to see where it goes. Whether or
Yeah.
not I'm at the forefront, I
Yeah.
certainly hope to be following along.
Yeah, no, I can sense your excitement and I get it too. I understand how. And then you get the best of both worlds. You get to use your medical training and your experience with the relational side of helping
Yes.
patients with their symptoms and their pain and all of that, using what you originally went after initially. So, wow, it's a marriage made in
Yeah.
heaven for you. Love it. Wow. Well, that's terrific. Um, wow, I could just continue our conversation forever. You've got so much to share with us. Are there any, I mean, I can think of some lessons, but I'd like you to share if there are some lessons that you could help others with just in general because of what you've gone through in your journey and what you're heading toward now.
Yeah, I think that there's so much, and I'm learning as I go through this palliative care training, in particular about listening and hearing and really providing an opportunity for patients to tell their stories. And I
Mm,
would say, as you know, your listeners, as patients, really look for that connection. And sometimes it can be hard to find because, as I mentioned or alluded to before, medicine right now, we're so rushed and pushed and everyone's trying to do more in less time. But really, there are, I think, the majority of people I meet in medicine would tell you they went into it because they wanted to help people.
mhm,
And so that is what our true aims are.
mhm,
And yeah, I think that's one of the points that I would emphasize. And
mhm,
then for me, having gone through as a family member,
Mm-hmm.
it is challenging.
Mm.
And I would emphasize the importance of, again, listening, of autonomy and supporting your loved ones, but also, helping them make, or I should say, allowing them
Mm.
to make informed decisions and really get good information from their providers. And that palliative care is a fantastic resource, and
Mm.
it doesn't have to be reserved for end of life.
Mm.
It is for anyone confronting a serious illness. And in some ways, the earlier palliative care team members can be involved, the better.
Yeah.
There are data showing improved outcomes when they're brought in earlier, because they can kind of help with those difficult conversations and goals and say, we can hopefully help get you where you want to be.
Wow. I know if I needed palliative care, I would reach out to you because you're so genuine and easy to build relationships with, as I experienced with you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I guess we can wrap this up. And I just really appreciate you sharing from your heart, your journey and your story and all the things that you've journeyed through. And I see great things for you ahead, Dr. Shapiro.
Thank you very much. I
All right.
appreciate it, Judy.
Thanks so much for joining us for the Inspired Impact podcast. To listen to past episodes, please visit theinspiredImpactPodcast.com.